Benaiah, a name unfamiliar to many, was a warrior whose feats of courage and loyalty earned him a legacy that would echo through history. He was no ordinary soldier. As the son of Jehoiada, a man described in Scripture as a valiant man from Kabzeel, Benaiah's early life was steeped in a blend of spiritual devotion and military discipline. Though from the tribe of Levi, typically associated with religious duties, Jehoiada and his family were uniquely prepared for a life of both spiritual and physical battles. Benaiah's upbringing in Kabzeel, a city near the border with Edom, exposed him to a life of constant vigilance. Living on the frontier of Israel meant frequent threats from enemy nations, fostering a community where defense skills were essential for survival. Growing up under these conditions, young Benaiah was trained early in the arts of warfare and resilience. His father, Jehoiada, likely instilled in him the importance of courage, discipline, and reliance on God, qualities that would later define Benaiah's life. In Hebrew, Benaiah's name holds deep meaning, a combination of Ben, meaning son, and Yah, short for Yahweh, the name of God. Thus, his name can be understood as Son of God, or one to whom God is merciful. This powerful name served as a daily reminder of his connection to the divine, imbuing Benaiah's life with a profound sense of purpose and a deep-seated faith. Benaiah's journey unfolded during one of the most dynamic and transformative periods in Israel's history. Under the leadership of King David, the kingdom was consolidating its power, establishing its borders, and unifying its tribes. King David was a man after God's own heart, a leader who combined devout faith with remarkable military prowess. David's reign was marked by a relentless drive to protect and expand Israel's borders, often through intense and prolonged battles. Israel's powerful enemies, such as the Philistines, Ammonites, Moabites, and Arameans, continually threatened the kingdom, making strength and unity essential. David's army was one of the ancient world's most formidable forces, composed of experienced and brave warriors. Among them was an elite group known as David's Mighty Men, or Gibborim. These warriors were chosen not only for their skill in battle, but for their loyalty, resilience, and commitment to defending the king and the nation. Within this distinguished group, Benaiah quickly earned a place of honor. His courage, coupled with his faith, set him apart, gaining him the respect of his peers and the trust of his king. The Bible first records Benaiah as a man of action, a fearless warrior driven by duty and an unshakable trust in God. His feats were soon recognized, and his name became synonymous with valor and unwavering commitment. David, a keen judge of character, saw in Benaiah not only a skilled soldier, but a man of integrity and faith. This combination of martial skill and spiritual devotion made Benaiah an invaluable ally in the turbulent landscape of David's kingdom. Thus, Benaiah's early years were not only a time of preparation, but a period that shaped him into one of Israel's most iconic warriors. His upbringing, name, and the constant threats surrounding his homeland cultivated a spirit of resilience and reliance on God, qualities that would carry him through some of the most defining moments of his life. The story of Benaiah is one of a warrior molded by faith, loyalty, and courage, standing ready to defend his king and his nation no matter the odds. Benaiah's journey to becoming one of King David's mightiest warriors began with a series of astonishing feats that showcased his extraordinary skill, courage, and faith. Among these exploits, 3 stand out as legendary examples of his bravery. His victory over 2 formidable Moabite warriors, his encounter with a lion in a snowy pit, and his confrontation with a giant Egyptian soldier. The first notable deed was Benaiah's confrontation with 2 renowned Moabite warriors. Moab, a neighboring nation frequently at odds with Israel, was known for its powerful army and fierce fighters. These Moabite champions were not just ordinary soldiers, they were celebrated heroes, revered for their strength and battle prowess. However, Benaiah, empowered by his faith and driven by his duty, met these warriors in battle, showing no fear. The encounter was brutal and intense. Benaiah's skill in combat, combined with his strategic acumen, allowed him to face both warriors simultaneously. Through swift, decisive strikes, he managed to defeat the Moabites, securing a significant victory for Israel. His triumph over these enemies not only demonstrated his personal courage, but also served as a powerful symbol of divine protection over Israel in the face of dangerous foes. With this victory, Benaiah's reputation as a fearless defender of Israel began to take shape. His second remarkable feat was perhaps the most memorable, slaying a lion in a pit on a snowy day. The circumstances alone were daunting. Facing a lion would be terrifying under normal conditions, but in a snow-covered pit, where the ground was slippery and visibility was low, the risk was significantly greater. A lion is a fierce predator, known for its agility, strength, and lethal instincts, and confined to the narrow walls of the pit. There was no option for retreat. Yet, instead of hesitating, Benaiah willingly entered the pit, knowing that the lion posed a deadly threat to his community. The ensuing struggle was fierce and harrowing. The lion's roars echoed through the pit, while Benaiah fought with precision, determination, and unwavering faith. Eventually, through his skill, resilience, and possibly divine intervention, he subdued the beast, eliminating a severe danger and further solidifying his reputation as an indomitable warrior. The third heroic act that cemented Benaiah's legacy was his encounter with a giant Egyptian warrior. This Egyptian was not only of massive stature, but also wielded a spear likened to a weaver's rod, underscoring its tremendous size and weight. Armed with only a staff, Benaiah faced this formidable opponent. The Egyptian's superior weapon and physical strength would have discouraged most, but Benaiah's confidence in God and his quick thinking gave him the edge. In a remarkable display of strategy and skill, Benaiah managed to disarm the Egyptian, taking his massive spear and using it to defeat him. This impressive victory displayed Benaiah's ability to adapt in combat, using his enemy's strength against him, and underscored his fearless nature. These three heroic feats not only elevated Benaiah's status among Israel's warriors, but also caught the attention of King David. Recognizing Benaiah's potential, David appointed him commander of his royal guard, a highly prestigious and trusted position. The royal guard was tasked with protecting the king, both in times of peace and war, and only the most loyal and capable soldiers were chosen. David's decision to place Benaiah in charge of this elite force was a testament to his trust in Benaiah's character, loyalty, and prowess. Benaiah's courage in the face of insurmountable odds was not rooted solely in his skill or physical strength, but in his deep faith in God. Each victory he achieved demonstrated his trust in divine protection and guidance. For Benaiah, his exploits in battle were not simply matters of personal glory, they were acts of service to his king and to the God he worshipped. Through these acts, Benaiah's name became forever etched in the annals of Israel's history as one of David's mightiest warriors, a symbol of courage, loyalty, and unwavering faith. Benaiah's remarkable feats on the battlefield had not only earned him fame, but also the ultimate trust from King David. Appointed as the commander of the royal guard, Benaiah took on a role that required more than bravery. It demanded unwavering loyalty and wisdom. As the leader of this elite unit, Benaiah was responsible for protecting David at all costs, ensuring his safety in both peace and crisis. The royal guard was composed of Israel's finest, tasked with guarding the king's life. Under Benaiah's guidance, this elite group became known for their discipline, loyalty, and skill. His own courage served as a powerful example, inspiring his men to strive for excellence. Benaiah's loyalty to David was deeply rooted in both respect for the king and faith in David as God's chosen leader. Through numerous challenges, including political threats and conspiracies, Benaiah remained steadfast. His commitment to David extended beyond any ambition for power, focused solely on fulfilling his divine duty. This loyalty continued, even as David's reign drew to a close. When Adonijah attempted to claim the throne, Benaiah stood against him, supporting David's wish for Solomon to succeed. Benaiah's unwavering support during Solomon's anointing helped secure the new king's position and ensured the kingdom's stability. In this role, Benaiah's loyalty transcended personal duty. It was a testament to his faith in God's plan for Israel. Through integrity and strength, he safeguarded both David's legacy and the future of Solomon's reign. As David's health declined, a fierce dispute for succession began. Adonijah, David's son, made a bold move to seize the throne, gathering influential supporters, including Joab, the seasoned commander of David's army, and Abiathar, the priest. Both men, veterans of David's reign, believed they would secure high positions in Adonijah's potential rule. With their support, Adonijah organized a grand feast, proclaiming himself king and inviting key figures, excluding, however, Solomon and David's most trusted advisors, such as the prophet Nathan and Benaiah. Nathan, knowing of God's promise to David that Solomon would inherit the throne, acted swiftly. He reached out to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, urging her to inform David about Adonijah's self-coronation. They approached David to remind him of his oath regarding Solomon's succession and the threat Adonijah's claim posed to Israel's future stability. David responded decisively. He instructed that Solomon be immediately anointed king, with Nathan the prophet and Zadok the priest overseeing the sacred act. Benaiah, as commander of the royal guard, played a crucial role in this event, ensuring Solomon's safety and the ceremony's success. The people of Jerusalem erupted in celebration, proclaiming, "Long live King Solomon." The sound of trumpets and cheers filled the city, signaling the end of Adonijah's attempt to usurp the throne. When word of Solomon's anointing reached Adonijah's celebration, panic ensued. His supporters dispersed, fearing retribution. Adonijah himself fled to the altar, clinging to its horns in a desperate appeal for sanctuary and mercy. Recognizing his vulnerability, Adonijah pleaded with Solomon for his life. Solomon, now established as king, faced a difficult choice. Though Adonijah had acted against him, Solomon chose clemency. He spared Adonijah's life, but issued a solemn warning. As long as Adonijah remained loyal, he would be safe. However, any further rebellion would not be tolerated. This merciful act reflected Solomon's wisdom and his commitment to a just and stable rule. Benaiah's presence throughout these events demonstrated his unwavering loyalty. By supporting Solomon's anointing and helping secure his rule, Benaiah played an instrumental role in protecting the divine promise made to David. His dedication to justice and order during this volatile period underscored his vital role in the kingdom and established him as a trusted protector of Israel's future. Peace settled over Israel as Solomon began his reign, but shadows of ambition lingered. Adonijah, seemingly quiet after Solomon's rise to power, devised one last plot. He approached Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, with a seemingly innocuous request: permission to marry Abishag, a young woman who had cared for David in his final days. However, in the context of royal succession, such a request carried hidden implications. Marrying a royal concubine, even one not physically involved with the king, could be perceived as an attempt to legitimize a claim to the throne. Adonijah hoped to position himself as a continued contender, subtly undermining Solomon's authority. Bathsheba, perhaps unaware of the political weight of the request, brought it to Solomon. The young king, however, quickly saw through Adonijah's intentions. Solomon realized that Adonijah's desire to marry Abishag was more than a personal wish. It was a veiled power play to reclaim influence. For Solomon, this was a clear breach of loyalty, a violation of the terms of mercy he had granted. Adonijah's actions revealed his enduring ambition, one that threatened the stability of Solomon's reign. Solomon understood that if he allowed this challenge to go unchecked, it could inspire others to question his authority. Firm in his decision to protect the throne, he commanded Benaiah to carry out the execution of Adonijah. Loyal and unwavering, Benaiah accepted the task without hesitation. His duty to Solomon and Israel was clear. This was no ordinary mission. It was an act of justice meant to reinforce Solomon's legitimate rule and uphold the peace of Israel. With precision and authority, Benaiah acted swiftly. He found Adonijah, and following Solomon's decree, put an end to his rebellion. In this moment, Benaiah not only fulfilled his king's order, but also affirmed his unwavering commitment to maintaining justice within the kingdom. This execution was a stark reminder to any who might question Solomon's authority. By enacting Solomon's judgment, Benaiah reaffirmed his role as a cornerstone of the kingdom's stability. His loyalty and resolve during this pivotal moment preserved Solomon's peace and ensured that the throne would remain secure from internal threats. With Adonijah's last threat neutralized, Solomon's rule was solidified. However, the young king still faced unresolved issues, particularly with Joab, one of David's former commanders. Though Joab had served David faithfully in many battles, his loyalty was unpredictable. He had supported Adonijah's bid for the throne, hoping to retain power in the new administration. His allegiance now posed a risk to Solomon's stability. Aware of Joab's influence and potential to incite further dissent, Solomon decided to address this looming threat decisively. Joab, realizing his position was vulnerable under Solomon's new regime, sought refuge at the sacred altar in the tabernacle, hoping its sanctity would protect him. In ancient Israel, clinging to the altar symbolized a plea for mercy, and Joab hoped that his past service might still earn him leniency. However, Solomon saw through Joab's attempt to evade justice. Joab's actions had crossed moral and political lines, challenging the unity Solomon needed to establish his reign. He could not allow someone who had aligned with Adonijah to remain unpunished. Solomon called upon Benaiah, the commander whose loyalty was beyond question, to execute the order. Benaiah approached the altar where Joab clung, aware of the solemnity of the task. He respected the sanctity of the altar, but his duty to uphold justice and Solomon's decree was paramount. With authority and respect for the gravity of the situation, Benaiah carried out the king's command. The execution of Joab removed one of the last major threats to Solomon's reign, further stabilizing the kingdom and asserting the king's commitment to justice over personal ties. Through this act, Benaiah once again demonstrated his role as a guardian of Solomon's rule. His loyalty and decisiveness during these critical moments proved his worth as one of Israel's most dependable leaders. Solomon, recognizing Benaiah's unmatched commitment and skill, rewarded him by appointing him as the new commander of Israel's army, a role that had once belonged to Joab. Under Benaiah's leadership, Israel's military entered a new era. His approach emphasized loyalty, discipline, and unity, qualities that he had embodied throughout his service to David and Solomon. Benaiah's rise to power as the supreme commander marked the beginning of a stable period for Israel's army, securing Solomon's kingdom and establishing a legacy of integrity and strength that would be remembered for generations. As the new commander of Israel's army, Benaiah embraced his responsibilities with a sense of purpose and unwavering loyalty to Solomon. His years of service under David and experience in battle made him an exceptional leader. Now, he focused on strengthening Israel's forces, ensuring the kingdom remained secure under Solomon's rule. Benaiah's first priority was to unify the military forces, which had been through years of conflict and upheaval. Drawing on his experience, he instilled a culture of discipline and loyalty, setting a standard for both new recruits and seasoned warriors. He emphasized that every soldier's role was crucial to the stability and prosperity of Israel. Under his guidance, the army became a unified force, respected not only for their strength, but also for their dedication to their king and country. Beyond his responsibilities on the battlefield, Benaiah served as an essential advisor to Solomon. His counsel extended beyond military matters, reflecting his deep understanding of the kingdom's needs. Solomon valued Benaiah's insight and trusted him implicitly. Unlike others who sought personal gain, Benaiah's loyalty was genuine, grounded in his faith in God and his commitment to Solomon's leadership. His unselfish dedication made him a crucial pillar in Solomon's administration. Benaiah's role wasn't limited to defense. He was also instrumental in expanding Israel's influence. With his strategic foresight, he led missions that strengthened Israel's borders, creating a network of alliances that would benefit Solomon's reign. His efforts ensured that Israel was prepared for potential threats while maintaining diplomatic relations with neighboring kingdoms. Despite his success, Benaiah remained humble, focusing on his duties rather than personal recognition. His loyalty to Solomon never wavered, even as he rose to one of the most powerful positions in the kingdom. He viewed his authority as a responsibility given by God, a perspective that grounded him and guided his decisions. In an era marked by power struggles and shifting allegiances, Benaiah's integrity set him apart. His loyalty wasn't just to Solomon, but to the vision of a united Israel, a kingdom built on justice, faith, and strength. His example inspired others in the army and administration, setting a precedent for faithful service and leadership. Benaiah's leadership solidified Solomon's rule and reinforced the kingdom's stability. His legacy became one of strength through unity, showing that true power lies in loyalty to both God and king. In a world of uncertainties, Benaiah's loyalty served as a reminder that steadfastness and faith could shape the future of a nation, leaving a lasting impact on Israel for generations. As Solomon's rule began to settle, tensions rose once more when Joab, a former commander under David, became a growing threat to the stability of Solomon's kingdom. Though once a fierce warrior and ally of David, Joab's loyalty had shifted, and he had sided with Adonijah in his failed bid for the throne. Joab's choice to support Adonijah cast a shadow of doubt on his intentions and ultimately marked him as a threat to Solomon's authority. Joab's betrayal did not go unnoticed, and Solomon was well aware that Joab's influence among the people and his history with David could stir unrest if left unchecked. Solomon recognized that Joab's past service to David didn't excuse his actions. To ensure the security of his reign and uphold justice, Solomon had to address the actions of those who had betrayed the throne. Tasked with confronting Joab, Benaiah demonstrated both his loyalty and courage. Joab, realizing his position was now untenable, sought refuge in the sanctuary, hoping that the sacred space might protect him from Solomon's judgment. But Benaiah was resolute. He approached Joab in the sanctuary, fully aware that executing justice here would be controversial. However, Benaiah saw this task as an extension of his duty to protect the kingdom and its leadership. Despite Joab's plea for mercy, Benaiah carried out Solomon's command. His actions weren't motivated by personal gain or ambition, but rather by a commitment to uphold the king's authority and ensure justice was served. By doing so, Benaiah helped reinforce the integrity of Solomon's rule, ensuring that even those with a powerful legacy were held accountable for their actions. This decisive moment reflected the complex nature of Benaiah's responsibilities. He knew that his role demanded difficult choices, sometimes even going against popular sentiment, for the sake of the kingdom's stability. Benaiah's unflinching execution of justice demonstrated his understanding that personal loyalties must yield to the greater good when necessary. The removal of Joab symbolized a significant turning point for Solomon's reign, marking the establishment of a new era under his rule. Benaiah's role in this act of justice sent a powerful message throughout Israel. Loyalty to the king and to God's chosen order was paramount, and betrayal would not be tolerated, regardless of one's past contributions or standing. Through this event, Benaiah's commitment to justice and the preservation of Solomon's kingdom was fully realized. His actions not only secured Solomon's throne, but also exemplified the difficult balance between mercy and justice that leaders sometimes must navigate. Benaiah's integrity and obedience to Solomon's command reinforced his legacy as a warrior who held firmly to his convictions, prioritizing the security and stability of Israel above all else. With Joab removed and Solomon's reign firmly established, Benaiah took on an even more critical role as the new commander of Israel's army. His appointment to this position was a natural progression, not only due to his impressive feats and unwavering loyalty, but also because he had proven himself as a trusted leader, willing to make difficult decisions for the kingdom's stability. Under Benaiah's leadership, Israel's army thrived. He implemented strict discipline and innovative training, ensuring that his soldiers were always prepared to defend the kingdom. As a commander, Benaiah prioritized not only physical strength, but also loyalty, courage, and wisdom. His approach to leadership reflected a deep understanding of the values David had instilled in him and the wisdom he had learned from both David and Solomon. Israel, under Solomon's reign, was a kingdom seeking peace and prosperity rather than continuous conquest. However, Benaiah understood that maintaining peace sometimes required a strong show of military readiness. He organized the army into specialized units, each with specific duties, from guarding the borders to protecting key cities. His reforms instilled a sense of pride and unity among his soldiers, reminding them that they served not only their king, but also the God who protected Israel. Benaiah's loyalty extended beyond his duties as a soldier. He was a wise counselor to Solomon as well. Solomon, known for his wisdom, often sought advice from trusted leaders like Benaiah, especially on matters involving the defense and security of the nation. The two men shared a mutual respect that transcended their roles, with Solomon recognizing Benaiah's insight and Benaiah valuing Solomon's devotion to justice and order. In times of potential crisis, Benaiah remained calm and collected, a reassuring presence for the king and his court. His steadfast faith in God and his commitment to Israel's well-being gave Solomon confidence that his kingdom's security was in capable hands. Benaiah understood that his loyalty to Solomon was part of a higher calling, a commitment to God's plan for Israel and a duty to serve with honor and integrity. Benaiah's tenure as commander marked a period of peace and stability for Israel. His reputation as a warrior and his dedication to justice ensured that Israel's enemies were kept at bay, while his wisdom in leadership allowed him to forge strong alliances that promoted peace. Benaiah's legacy was now defined not only by his legendary exploits, but also by his wise leadership and his devotion to the kingdom's security and prosperity. Through his life and service, Benaiah became a symbol of loyalty and faithfulness, embodying the virtues of courage, integrity, and devotion. His story continues to remind us of the importance of serving with humility and honoring the responsibilities entrusted to us. Benaiah's influence extended far beyond his lifetime, shaping the legacy of Israel and leaving an enduring example for future generations. As Benaiah continued to serve faithfully under Solomon, his life became a beacon of faithfulness, strength, and integrity for all of Israel. His unwavering loyalty and dedication to both King David and King Solomon earned him immense respect. But it was his relationship with God that defined his life's purpose and legacy. Benaiah understood that his strength came not merely from his combat skills, but from his faith in the God of Israel, who had guided him through every victory and challenge. Benaiah's role as commander of the army allowed him to shape a generation of warriors who mirrored his values. He trained his men to be not only courageous in battle, but also faithful in their hearts, grounded in the principles of justice and humility. By emphasizing loyalty to God above all, Benaiah instilled in his soldiers a sense of purpose that went beyond mere duty. He taught them that true strength comes from faith, and that their ultimate purpose was to serve the greater good of Israel and its people. In addition to his role in the military, Benaiah became known as a man of wisdom and discernment, qualities that even Solomon valued. Solomon, often celebrated for his own wisdom, saw in Benaiah a trusted confidant who provided counsel and support, especially in times when difficult decisions had to be made. Benaiah's advice was always honest and respectful, and he had an uncanny ability to navigate the complexities of court politics while remaining true to his values. Despite his high position and influence, Benaiah never sought personal gain. His humility and dedication to his calling as a servant of God remained unshaken. He viewed his power and authority as responsibilities entrusted to him by God rather than as sources of personal pride. This humility set him apart from many leaders of his time, who were often tempted by the lure of power and wealth. Benaiah's life became a testament to the power of humility and the importance of serving others selflessly. One of the most profound lessons from Benaiah's life was his ability to balance strength with compassion. While he was known as a fierce warrior, his sense of justice and fairness ensured that he never acted out of anger or vengeance. His decisions, even when involving life and death, were guided by a deep commitment to God's will and a desire for peace in Israel. He was a reminder that true leadership involves not just strength, but also wisdom and a compassionate heart. Benaiah's story left a lasting impact on Israel. He became a symbol of hope and inspiration, a reminder that greatness is measured not by fame or fortune, but by the strength of one's character and faith. Through his actions, he inspired countless others to live lives of honor, integrity, and faithfulness. Benaiah's legacy lived on not only through the army he had led, but also through the values he had instilled in the people of Israel. As Israel continued to flourish under Solomon's reign, Benaiah's influence could be felt throughout the kingdom. His story was passed down from generation to generation, reminding the people of the power of faith, courage, and unwavering loyalty. For Benaiah, his life was not about the battles he had fought or the titles he had earned, but about fulfilling God's purpose and serving his people with a pure heart. Benaiah's influence extended far beyond the battlefield. As Israel transitioned into a time of peace and prosperity under Solomon's wise rule, Benaiah's wisdom in leadership and dedication to service became critical to sustaining stability throughout the kingdom. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Benaiah understood that strength alone could not maintain Israel's peace. To truly serve his people and honor God, he needed to embrace humility and insight in his role as Israel's commander. In his position, Benaiah worked closely with Solomon, and his counsel was often sought for critical decisions regarding Israel's defenses and internal policies. Solomon, despite his renowned wisdom, recognized the value of Benaiah's grounded perspective and sought his advice in times of uncertainty. Benaiah's experience as a warrior gave him practical insight, but his spiritual faith provided the discernment necessary for just and moral decision-making. This dynamic allowed him to become a pillar of stability and support for Solomon's reign, bridging the practical needs of governance with the deeper values of Israel's faith. One of the defining traits of Benaiah's leadership was his humility. Unlike many who found power to be a source of pride, Benaiah saw his position as an opportunity to serve both his king and his people. This humility created a sense of loyalty among his men, who followed him not out of fear or mere duty, but out of respect and admiration. They saw in Benaiah a leader who was as committed to them as he was to his God, a man who would face any danger to protect them and their homeland. In his interactions with the people of Israel, Benaiah was known for his fairness and integrity. He was not a leader who viewed his authority as a means to elevate himself, but rather as a tool to uphold justice and protect the vulnerable. People from all walks of life knew they could come to him, confident that he would listen and act fairly. This reputation made him beloved among the people, and his influence helped foster a sense of unity within the kingdom. His actions demonstrated that true leadership was about serving others with compassion and dedication, a legacy that continued to shape Israel's values. Benaiah's commitment to Israel's spiritual and moral health was as unwavering as his dedication to its physical security. In a society often challenged by external threats and internal pressures, he reminded his people of the importance of staying rooted in their faith. He spoke frequently about the need for Israel to trust in God's promises, rather than in military might alone, echoing the teachings of prophets like Isaiah and the wisdom imparted by King David. His words served as a powerful reminder that Israel's strength lay not merely in its armies, but in its relationship with God. Benaiah's journey is a profound example of leadership grounded in faith and humility, showcasing the power of servant leadership. As he aged, he became less visible on the battlefield, but remained active in advising and mentoring the younger generations of soldiers and leaders. He was intentional about passing down the values he held dear, teaching young warriors not only how to fight, but also how to live with integrity, honor, and reverence for God. Through his actions, Benaiah redefined what it meant to lead in Israel. He showed that true greatness is found not in accolades or power, but in the quiet strength of character and in service to a cause greater than oneself. His legacy of faith-driven leadership resonated far beyond his lifetime, influencing the kingdom long after he had retired from his duties. As Israel looked toward its future, Benaiah's example served as a guiding light, reminding the people of the enduring importance of humility, courage, and devotion to God. As Benaiah's career continued, he faced numerous trials that tested his faith and commitment to God. His journey, filled with both triumphs and tribulations, revealed a deep resilience that only strengthened with each challenge. Unlike many others in his position, Benaiah did not seek glory for himself, but humbly accepted every obstacle as a means to serve God and his kingdom more faithfully. One of Benaiah's greatest trials emerged as his loyalty was tested under King Solomon's early reign. During this time, Israel was transitioning from David's era, marked by frequent warfare, to a period of Solomon's wisdom and prosperity. However, remnants of political unrest lingered, with individuals like Adonijah, David's son and Solomon's older brother, who attempted to usurp the throne. This challenge was not merely a test of military strength, but a test of Benaiah's moral convictions and loyalty to the newly established king. When Adonijah sought the throne, Benaiah found himself in the center of a political storm. He knew that Solomon's right to rule had been ordained, but the prospect of eliminating David's son was a grave and morally challenging task. Yet Benaiah's faith in God's plan and his sense of duty to Solomon and Israel never wavered. After Adonijah's repeated attempts to reclaim influence by seeking to marry Abishag, who had served King David, Benaiah knew he had to act decisively to safeguard Solomon's reign. Solomon instructed Benaiah to carry out Adonijah's execution, a duty that weighed heavily on him, but one that he undertook with solemn respect for God's will and the kingdom's stability. In addition to Adonijah, other figures posed similar threats to Solomon's rule, including Joab, David's former commander who had supported Adonijah's cause. Joab was a formidable warrior, known for his bravery but also for his unchecked ambition and violent tendencies. He had betrayed David on several occasions, notably by killing innocent men under the guise of protecting the king. Solomon's decision to remove Joab was essential to ensure peace in the kingdom, and once again he entrusted Benaiah to carry out this delicate task. With his unwavering commitment to justice and Israel's security, Benaiah confronted Joab and executed him, firmly ending any threats to Solomon's reign. Despite the violent nature of these tasks, Benaiah remained steadfast in his conviction that he was serving a greater purpose. He understood that these executions, while severe, were necessary to protect Israel from internal division and ensure that Solomon's wisdom and peace could flourish without the threat of rebellion. Each test of faith brought Benaiah closer to God, strengthening his understanding of justice, obedience, and humility. His role in securing Solomon's rule made him a figure of stability within the kingdom. Yet these actions also reminded him of the weight of responsibility that came with being a servant of both God and the king. Benaiah's deep sense of accountability toward God guided him through each of these trials, helping him accept the cost of leadership in times of political uncertainty. For Benaiah, these trials were not only about loyalty, but also about trusting in God's purpose. His faith became his greatest strength, enabling him to make difficult decisions with conviction, knowing that he was acting within the divine plan. Through each test, he sought not his own glory or honor, but remained focused on Israel's well-being and God's protection over his people. In the end, Benaiah's trials became a testament to his steadfast faith and his readiness to accept God's will, no matter how difficult. Each act of obedience served as a reminder of his dedication, not just as a warrior or leader, but as a humble servant who recognized the ultimate authority of God. Following his instrumental role in securing Solomon's rule, Benaiah's reputation as a reliable and fearless warrior reached its zenith. His actions had solidified his place not just as a commander, but as a guardian of the kingdom's peace and stability. Recognizing his unyielding loyalty, integrity, and leadership skills, Solomon appointed Benaiah as the supreme commander of Israel's army, replacing the controversial Joab. This position marked the pinnacle of Benaiah's career, giving him responsibility over the kingdom's military forces and a central role in preserving Israel's security during a new era of prosperity. As supreme commander, Benaiah undertook the task of restructuring Israel's army, focusing on discipline, unity, and devotion to the nation. He knew that military strength alone was not enough. A steadfast trust in God and mutual respect among soldiers would be essential to maintaining peace under Solomon's rule. With Benaiah at the helm, the army underwent significant changes, emphasizing loyalty to God and to the king above all. His command style was fair yet firm, earning him the respect of those who served under him. One of Benaiah's first priorities was to reinforce the boundaries of Israel, particularly with neighboring nations who occasionally posed a threat. Although Solomon's reign would be known for peace and diplomacy, Benaiah understood the importance of maintaining a prepared and vigilant force to deter potential invaders. His military strategies balanced wisdom and strength, aiming not only to defend Israel, but also to discourage any external aggression through the visible strength of a united and well-disciplined army. Under his leadership, the army became a symbol of stability, signaling Israel's readiness to defend its peace without seeking conflict. Benaiah's approach was marked by strategic foresight, as he recognized that the prosperity of Solomon's era could only flourish if the kingdom remained secure. His focus on preventing war, rather than engaging in it, was a testament to his loyalty to Solomon's vision of a peaceful kingdom, a vision that extended beyond just military might to the cultural and spiritual welfare of Israel. Benaiah's role also extended to diplomatic missions, where his reputation as a courageous yet wise commander became an asset to Solomon. His presence alongside Solomon helped foster alliances, as neighboring leaders respected Israel's strength and admired Benaiah's honor. Through his character and leadership, Benaiah embodied the peace and strength Solomon sought to project, allowing Israel to expand its influence without the need for continual warfare. He understood that true strength lay not only in physical might, but in unity, wisdom, and faith, values that guided him through every aspect of his command. As time passed, Benaiah's legacy grew beyond his military feats, inspiring the people of Israel. His dedication to Solomon and unwavering faith made him a revered figure, not just as a warrior, but as a leader who stood firm in his convictions. He led with humility, remembering always that his strength came from God, and his duty was to protect Israel in the service of a higher purpose. This humility fostered loyalty within the ranks of his soldiers, who saw in Benaiah a man who led not for personal gain, but for the welfare of his people and obedience to God. Benaiah's influence shaped the future of Israel's army, leaving behind a foundation of faith, courage, and discipline that would last long after his time. His tenure as supreme commander was a model of what it meant to serve with integrity and purpose. Under his leadership, Israel's military did not merely serve as a force of defense, but as a symbol of the kingdom's unity and devotion to God. His life's work illustrated the value of leading by example, showing that one could wield power without losing sight of humility and loyalty. In his later years, Benaiah's wisdom and strength became symbols of guidance to the next generation, reminding them of the importance of faith and justice. His journey from a young warrior in David's army to the highest command in Israel showed the people that courage, loyalty, and unwavering faith in God could lead to extraordinary achievements. He left behind a legacy that inspired future leaders, a legacy rooted in the values that had defined his life. Benaiah's ascension to command was more than a promotion. It was the fulfillment of his lifelong commitment to God and to his people. He remained steadfast until the end, embodying the spirit of a true servant leader, one who led with both strength and grace. In him, Israel found not just a commander, but a guardian of faith, a protector of peace, and a hero whose legacy would inspire generations to come. Benaiah's life, marked by valor, loyalty, and unwavering faith, left a lasting legacy within Israel and the hearts of those who followed his story. His achievements as a warrior, leader, and man of God transformed him into an enduring symbol of courage and faithfulness. Although the biblical accounts of Benaiah's life focus on his military feats and loyalty to King David and King Solomon, his legacy extends beyond the battlefield. Through his legendary encounters, such as defeating a Moabite warrior, facing down a lion in a pit on a snowy day, and subduing a giant Egyptian with only a staff, Benaiah exemplified what it meant to face impossible odds with a steadfast trust in God. These remarkable stories of bravery became timeless reminders that even when circumstances seem overwhelming, faith and resilience can prevail. For many, Benaiah's actions served as evidence that one's strength lies not merely in physical power, but in the courage rooted in a deep connection with God. As the commander of King David's elite guard, and later as Solomon's supreme military leader, Benaiah demonstrated an unshakable loyalty that went beyond personal ambition. His dedication was rooted in a profound respect for David as God's anointed, and later for Solomon, who inherited David's throne. This allegiance, even in the face of political turmoil and potential betrayal, underscored a key theme in Benaiah's legacy: loyalty not only to earthly authority, but also to divine order. Benaiah's loyalty was tested numerous times, especially during the transition of power from David to Solomon. When Adonijah, David's son, attempted to usurp the throne, Benaiah remained loyal to Solomon, as he knew that Solomon was the chosen successor by divine decree. Even when Adonijah's actions led to difficult decisions, including executions necessary to preserve Solomon's rule, Benaiah's loyalty and obedience to God's will allowed him to act decisively. Through these actions, he exemplified the strength and conviction required to uphold justice, even when it was challenging or personally costly. Beyond his martial skills, Benaiah also set a spiritual example. His actions reflected an unwavering faith that guided him throughout his life. From his early days under David's leadership to his later years as a central figure in Solomon's court, his life displayed that true power and authority stem from a commitment to higher principles and obedience to God's commands. His achievements were not merely about victory in battle. They represented a life dedicated to fulfilling God's purpose with integrity. In the broader context of Israel's history, Benaiah's legacy underscored the importance of godly leadership, faithfulness, and integrity. He demonstrated that Israel's strength lay not just in its armies or its leaders, but in its people's collective dedication to God. His loyalty, courage, and wisdom became the foundation upon which Solomon's kingdom thrived, symbolizing a turning point for Israel as it reached the height of its power and influence. Benaiah's story continues to inspire believers today, reminding them of the values he embodied. His courage in facing physical and political challenges, his loyalty to his leaders and his people, and his unwavering faith in God set a powerful example. Through his life, we are encouraged to remain steadfast in our beliefs, act with integrity, and trust that God's purpose will prevail even in difficult circumstances. As a figure in the Old Testament, Benaiah's life holds timeless lessons for those who seek to serve with honor, faith, and humility. His legacy demonstrates that true greatness comes not from ambition or conquest, but from a life lived in obedience to God. Benaiah reminds us that each person, regardless of their role, has the potential to impact the world through faith and dedication. In the end, Benaiah's life serves as a testament to the strength found in loyalty, the wisdom born of faith, and the courage to act in accordance with one's beliefs. His legacy endures as a beacon of hope, courage, and unwavering commitment to God's will. For future generations, Benaiah stands as a model of what it means to serve with honor and to lead with both humility and strength. His story, woven into the fabric of Israel's history, continues to inspire those who walk a path of faith and integrity.